curious about what WeiWei is going to look to actually achieve in the early game, right? The core strengths of Pantheon simply lie in he is Pantheon. He is very incredibly powerful in the early stages when it comes to dueling, and of course setting up for you know, bigger skirmishes or smaller skirmishes rather, like 2v2s and 3v3s, and of course tower diving, very potent, right? Point and click, stun for 1 second, it sets up for the root if that's what they're going for underneath the tower, and he still has a lot of innate burst damage alongside something like a Callisto Rend as well. So bottom side of the map is going to be very scary for TT, assuming we end up in standard lanes. Lane swaps still very much an option that we have to remember. With the fortification nerfs, I suppose, lane swapping has kind of never been more back.
Yeah, 100%. You can now knock down those plates on the mid and top tier 1 turrets like no business, especially for LNG. They're leaning so hard in that early game. I do know the Callista tweaks, they did give her some, you know, the nerfed a little bit to the early game. That classic, you know, spear chuck rend poke that you can get off with level 1, level 2 is a little bit lower damage, but she does scale up a lot better in this game. Still, though, the prevailing thought here, I like the confidence from LNG, right? Jamada, obviously, they lost that series to ThunderTalk. It was the big upset of the Demacia Cup. They're still willing to play super aggressive LPL-style early game focused comps because they feel like they could just punch TT in the mouth here to find a series win, and got to start that off with a game 1 win as we are live on the Summoner's Rift.
Live on the Summoner's Rift. I'm noticing a big lack of Gyos. Maybe we missed them. Maybe we came in a little late. Who knows? That said, TT stacked up here on the top side, so indicating to me that they could potentially be looking for a lane swap, and likely will. See Hoya alongside his bot lane and Beichuan on his Raptors camp for now. But I will say for LNG, lane swap, I mean, obviously it depends on how the tempo ends up falling around the rest of the map. Shouldn't be too awful when you've got Cassante on blue side.
Right.
Able to tank up and survive a large amount of dives, just simply off the off that Pathmaker alone. Very difficult to dive. So once he sees this, and he will see them on this ward, LNG not really in a position to move around their lanes any longer, so they will just have to tank this one up for the time being, and we will see how much TT are able to get out of this one, being the team that obviously started this lane swap.
It'll be very intriguing as well to watch. Maybe if TT want to try and punish Haichao for that flashless of Vladimir. We'll see how that one goes. The Ghost Teleport. I know Vladimir is certainly a champion that doesn't necessarily need to take flash with that Sanguine pool, but anytime I'm a jungler, especially if you're talking about Beichuan with that early game Vi, want to try and punish that lane. But as you mentioned, Jamada, with lane swaps, mid lane kind of just always meshes into a farm off.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny as well because the minions, of course, haven't been changed. It's waves bounce back and forth significantly quicker, and there is, you know, theoretically supposed to be a lot more downtime for the mid laners. I don't think in lane swap situations they're going to be going anywhere, regardless. They're just going to stick around in their respective lane. That said, though, I like this Feather coming down to cover this bottom side, right? Pantheon could have just 3-camped his way down here, and especially with the way that teleports work right now, it is far more punishing in the early stages of a game to, you know, die on a stacked up wave like this. Teleport takes so long to get back to lane, and if you're unfamiliar with the change, very briefly, no longer do you just go from point A to point B in a blinking fashion. You have to channel teleport in the early stages, and then you will travel from where you are to the teleport location over the span of a scaling distance of up to 8 seconds if you're going from top to bot. But going from base to a side lane, around 5.
And once you get to Unleash Teleport, it goes down to a flat 4, I believe. So that upgrade comes across. A lot of new things, so we're all soaking in together. We talked about those new boot tasks. You can see them all below, both the logos on the top of your screen here. Gotta remember, First Blood being one of those feats of strength, things to chase for. The first one that usually always comes across in these games. So we'll see, like Jamada, we talked about a ton, how these junglers want to prevail when it comes to that mission. So far right now, just trading scuttles, just like classic League of Legends. We all remember it. Full farm, full clears, trade the scuttles, get back on the Rift and see what you can do. as my god is Haichao taking some rough trades into SeTab.
Rough trades, as long as he can get those empowered Qs off. He's always going to kind of sit around that 50% HP mark, right? Kind of the pain point of Vladimir is those first early couple of levels where Transfusion has a very, very high cooldown. But once he gets that first base off, gets those Lucids or a Fiendish Codex, cooldown drops significantly and he's going to have a much nicer time. Just kind of toughen it out inside of the lane. But I will say the lane swap, like you said, those objectives, right? First Blood, Tower, etc. Definitely hurts LNG a little bit, just because if they had those standard lanes, WeiWei probably just 3-camps that bottom side of the map, and they get immediately dove, which is of course why we're seeing this lane swap out of TT be initiated in the first place. Like you say, as we pan back over to this mid lane though, Haichao is starting to fall behind in CS a little bit, so has to be mindful there. He's going to eat another very nasty trade, but still here, still standing.
I remember you said they like to float around 50%. That's a lot lower than 50%. So Haichao going to hit the reset. Well, SeTab to shove this wave in and should be able to get a pretty clean reset to try and push that CS lead of his own. As we get to see that new and improved teleport. Haichao glides back on in full HP to catch the wave. We have a remarkably quiet early game compared not only for the LPL's vibe, but the Season 25 vibe.
Yeah, again, lane swap definitely enabling this much quieter early stage, but I do think in many ways it, for the time being, the immediate feature, I think it benefits TT, right? No early volatile 2v2s, 3v3s going on means that they should theoretically hit their mid game at kind of an even point. And it does put this Pantheon on a bit of a timer, right? Same for the Kalista. These two champions are not champions typically who, you know, you pick because you want to go past the 30-minute mark. You're picking them so you can end it before 25, right?
Right.
So, whilst this lane swap is going on, you know, early objective pickups are nice. You get these grubs, cool. This is a win more objective, right? That's the one thing about grubs that's always been the case. Pick up these grubs early on. As long as you start to actually snowball with this objective, then things get very, very difficult for TT later on. But for now, very much soaking up as much gold as they can and nullifying the early threat that this draft could have enabled LNG to put down.
Beichuan paying attention to mid lane, pushing Haichao off the wave there. Both the first dragon and first 3 grubs are 1 apiece towards those feats of strength objectives that the stream is eloquently showing everybody at home. So each got 1. I am leaning with you though. Obviously grubs, obviously the one you want to play for if you're the team that wants to accelerate the game quickly, but also if we're talking purely feats of strength goals, Jamada, if you grab the grubs, it plays right into going for the turret. So you can get kind of like 2 birds with 1 stoning, the feats of strength tasks.
Yep, do agree. As Zhuo, Photic, trying to set up. Oh, well, Zhuo, they know Zhuo's there now, so Hoya can just sit further back and... Okay,
He's just...
well, Photic hit 6 in the bush, so Hoya does not actually have that info right now. So they could just press Fate's call.
Oh, here we go.
And that ultimate and just kick things off.
Hoya's got to run for it. He gets knocked up with the Fate's call. Good flash to get away from the snare from Zhuo. We'll have to pay the flash of mind. Seemed like a kind of avoidable scenario, though, for Hoya.
Yeah, I do agree with you. And not only that, actually, you know, we keep on talking about changes. It's going to happen the first few days, maybe weeks, God forbid. But the minion XP, or the minion range at which you still get XP, is significantly higher. He could have sat quite far back.
Really far back.
And just, like, soaked it in, right? Only farmed the V, and just called it a day. But at the end of the day, costing his losing his flash for, you know, the ultimate of Pantheon significantly reduces WeiWei's map presence for the next few minutes. Now, that's obviously another big part of Pantheon jungle. You don't see it often, so it's not like we get to talk about it frequently. As Photic's base does get stopped. So, yeah, it is a blind cancel, actually. It's a good call. But Pantheon now, you know, they're going to know where he is for the next couple of minutes, and he's not going to have ult. So that threat over TT is just significantly nullified.
And also without Fate's call for Photic, you kind of lose some of the edge that the Nico Kalista will have for a couple of minutes going forward, and maybe that's why we see 1xN and Feather both kind of handshake the idea, all right, let's go back to maybe not bottom lane, but marksman support versus marksman support is they might look for a dive onto Zhuo. There is the cease and desist, gets the lockdown for Beichuan, the Pop Blossom to do defensive measures, but that is a gray screen first blood going under to over to ThunderTalk as they grab that first goal towards their feats of strength.
And so much of that rather comes off the back of that 1xn cancel, right? Photic would have been there. It would have been a 2v3 dive, and at the very least they could have tried to play it out, right? But with it just being Zhuo, he's an easy target to pick up. Stack both almost on top of him, right? Between Beichuan and Feather. You saw how easy it was for that Nico to fall. And First Blood will go over to TT. They are one step closer towards that tier 3 boot upgrade.
The upgrade that has been heralded by so many playing this game as the real definer of who can come out on top. We'll see how that translates towards the LPL as things go forward. Right now, though, for map state, next set of grubs spawning pretty soon here. And LNG are going to want to be all over that, not only to compete in that feats of strength conversation, but just in general, get those mites going on this comp that needs to really execute as we move into the mid-games phase.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of gold onto the Ezreal. He's kind of the odd one out in this composition in many ways, so getting him accelerated to ensure that he's always going to be useful, right? Still an AD carry at the end of the day, and still a very strong mid-game AD carry, which is where so much of TT's composition will be strong. It is very important as LNG. It looks like they're going to get these grubs. Very uncontested, so all 6, and we'll give them the feat of strength, of course, which then entirely makes it a race for first tower. Or actually, no, I beg your pardon, they didn't get the dragon earlier, so they're 1 dragon away from that because you need 3 objectives.
Yeah. What is interesting though is that Beichuan is on that side of the map as we see Zika throw down the ultimates. It's a top lane 1v1 check. Once ultimates are down, all bars are off, and Hoya is getting slapped around. Zika, no competition, finds himself his first solo bolo of the LPL split.
It's so crazy to think that Zika was on top of the equalizer for the entirety of that 1v1, and still his health bar looks like that. And with just the Spectre's cow and that W damage reduction, great 1v1 find as mid lane 3v3 brewing here.
WeiWei, here they go. Cease and desist down. Solar Flare Snare does not get Photic. He's able to flash cleanse out to safety, but the true shot barrage. 1xn finds his mark and finds the kill that TT were chasing for.
True to its name, and 1xn finds Photic, even though he's disengaged entirely, and it's just a little bit, you know, unorganized from LNG. Photic steps a bit too far forward whilst they're fishing, and it just enables Beichuan to step forward and pick that easy ultimate up. And despite losing both summoner spells, Photic still not able to get away. Just the massive amount of chain CC between those 2 ultimates of Beichuan and Feather, again paying dividends.
That really makes it an intriguing feats of strength conversation, Jamada, for our first game, because we are now tied at 2 epic monsters apiece with 3 grubs counting as 1. So we are right on the edge of that next feats of strength. We're getting another look at, though, at this Zika masterclass. Hoya just didn't really have a shot in the world.
Yep, it was very, very difficult. I'm surprised that Zika didn't go for the full drag over the wall, but this is what I'm talking about. He's stood on top of an equalizer for the entirety of this ultimate, and his health bar is just not going down. But this is right. This step forward from Photic is just too far. When you've got your support and jungle on the side of the lane looking for a potential engage, it's way too much. As in the picture-in-picture, Feather in trouble.
Has to expend that flash. Does have Hex Flash, but WeiWei able to get that one off of the TT support as they start to really over-index towards this top side. Still have some pretty healthy plates across the board. The turret conversation obviously could be the one that decides the feats of strength. And LNG are really pushing to get some damage down on this top tier 1. But they've got enemies waiting in the wings. Feather going to Hex Flash in. True Shot Barrage comes across, cut down the wave. SeTab should be able to clear it out. Now everyone just kind of walks away awkwardly as they wait for the next wave to come up, but LNG are all over it.
Yeah, LNG are all over it. 4 members here, 6 grubs. They're really trying to force the issue. They're going to rotate 1xn over TT, but, you know, this tower's still going to take another little meaty chunk, though that wave is evaporated by SeTab, so not the most threatening in the world, as whilst all this is going on, LNG have Lessica to kind of juggle between the mid and the bottom lane here, as Hoya was finding himself a couple of plates on the bottom side as well.
Breaking news, top laners are on an island. What's
Water makes you wet.
Water makes you
Grass
wet.
is green.
Nothing has changed. But what will be intriguing to watch for Jamada when we talk about, it feels like the monster slaying goal is going to be the one we're going to get here to decide those tier 2 boots upgrades. because that second Drake was taken a little bit later, it's really going to be all about this Rift Herald. Under about a minute, I believe, until that one hits the Rift. That's going to decide who gets those ever precious boot upgrades.
Ever precious. I do think that they are a little bit of a bait. I will say that. I think people will unlock those boots and buy them very, very early on. Though I think Swifties might be the exception to that rule. Swifties upgrade is crazy, but the rest of them, maybe Sorks too, if you're looking for a cheap, spike in damage. I do like Sorks. I think Sorks and Swifties the biggest winners out of the tier 3 upgrades, in my mind. Though I think honestly, they're all pretty damn good.
I was gonna say, like,
I just think League of Legends is a game about item completions, right? At its core, and doing anything to slow down, especially at that kind of moment in the game where normally you're kind of building towards your third or maybe even your fourth item if you're really fed. Delaying that for the boot upgrades, unless it's like, hey, an objective's coming up and I can upgrade my boots to tier 3, you probably shouldn't be doing it unless you've gone past that third item mark. Because before then, I think it's statistically, maths, you crank all the numbers, probably not as strong. But the boot upgrades are cool. Don't let my, my nerd self with all my calculations mentally take that away. As objectives are spawning in a minute's time, Herald, it's got that pushed back spawner, right? Because of all of the objective changes, it will spawn at 16 minutes, so 35 seconds away, and both these teams here fighting over the skull.
WeiWei able to secure it. Beichuan having to back off here as WeiWei's trying to hold the line. Still got to get rid of that pink ward right on top of the Herald pit, as it will spawn in the opening 20 seconds. I'm curious to see if both these teams will play all out for that Rift Herald, or if we'll try and hunt turrets now that plates are down. That mid-tier 1 looking pretty juicy to 1xn.
Yeah, but that top tier 2, don't forget, right? It took such a beating from LNG with all 4 members up there not too long ago. So a Herald here into a tower takedown could very easily for LNG unlock those feats. Though, of course, if TT get the Herald, then that's the conversation pretty much over.
Done and dusted. This is what the year of League of Legends is really going to look like. So breathe it in now as the LPL... I'm going to say the LPL introduces it. I know we had the LCK show match that technically introduced it, but we're learning here in the greatest league in the world with the LPL as WeiWei is going all out for SeTab, forcing him to flash on out, but he's caught by Zhuo on the backside, pops him between worlds, but the flash pop blossom follows it. The spear doesn't find the kill, but here comes Haichao to pick him off, finds himself the kill, and now Hoya is thrown into the wings. He tries to teleport on in here. Haichao doesn't want to over-aggress, pushing for it, with LNG holding a slight man advantage now with the Rift Herald on the board.
Photic, though, was killed amongst all this mess. So LNG, despite finding the pick onto SeTab and onto Beichuan, cannot pick up the Herald right now. So it's just looking like it's going to be a massive reset here. And I'm sure the replay will reveal what happened to Photic. Seems like Feather in the mid lane.
Oh, yeah.
Probably Hex. Yeah, so they were going for the pick on SeTab, and then they decide to just let SeTab die, go in towards the mid lane and pick that one up. Beichuan gives over his life. As that's also maybe a part of the reason why that teleport came down. It wasn't just a SeTab pick, but also what was going on in the answer towards Photic, as not necessarily the best showing on these mid waves for the last 5 minutes or so, as he loses some of the spells yet again.
I'm starting to see shades, Jamada, of what worked for ThunderTalk in the Demacia Cup. Is we now get the rat race of these neutral objectives. LNG see the third Drake spawn. They need to shut down the stacking and get themselves into the monster slayer conversation. But yeah, if this Herald goes...
They've both left their jungler alone. Guy.
Wait, a turret went down to minions in the background as well? Wait. So LNG got first turret. Wait, I think they just snuck and stole it. I think they have it. They have the boots upgrade out of nowhere. Yeah, they do.
These guys read the patch notes. I don't think these guys read the patch notes.
Minions just got LNG upgraded boots. Oh my god.
Come on.
I mean, it was a matter of like seconds, Jamada. They would have just given this over to TT.
Why did they leave Beichuan alone on the Herald? Why did LNG leave WeiWei alone on the Dragon?
Are we reading patch notes, guys, or are we just panicking? I genuine question.
Or above all, do they just not care? You know, is that where they're at? Either way, those boot upgrades will go down. Oh, it wasn't even minions. Okay, so it was
dang
Zika.
it. Okay,
it was Zika down here.
I thought it was. Even he left the turn to get taken by minions, by the way, in this whole like second fraction changes between who gets the boots. Man, I'm with you, Jamada. I think these teams don't care about the boot upgrades at all.
I don't think they do. It's definitely a very cute one. And I will say, sits a little bit better for LNG to get those than it does for TT, right? If you're able to hit 2 items, even though, I mean, I wouldn't say that LNG outscale, right? And this is where this kind of point for me comes in. You get your 2 items, upgrade the boots at the 2 item spike, and then you try and outmuscle TT whilst, you know, theoretically, Photic is at its strongest on this Kalista, and of course, WeiWei, same thing on the Pantheon. Whereas on the other side for TT, you know, Ezreal's only really going to get stronger until around 3.5, 4 items, and will certainly provide a little bit more utility and range comparatively to this Kalista, as a Feather could be in trouble. I think they're just going to walk it out. And of course, Beichuan is just forever useful on the Vi. The ultimate is too potent to not be useful. So I feel like for LNG, they're kind of breathing a bit of a sigh of relief if they want to pick that up now after they hit those 2 items.
Jamada, I think we got to put our like tinfoil hats on here about these 2 teams not caring about the patch thing, because if I'm not mistaken, that is Voracious Atacon, the Revive Atacon that is spawned in the bottom lane, and nobody cares. We're just playing for mid-tier 1 still.
Maybe they go down to it immediately.
I guess so.
Maybe it's safe, you know. Oh, drifting.
Oh, smited out of it. WeiWei denies it, but LNG, I mean, they don't have a ton of vision towards Atacon. Are they opting to give away this? They can't give away this buff. This is the revive buff.
Nah, they wouldn't do that. And for clarity, the revive buff is the one that you're gonna see the majority of the time, as there's trouble in the bottom side. WeiWei, we're down here, and Hoya's gonna flash.
Oh, but we have a fight on the back side of that chase as Zhuo commits the Pop Blossom. Fate's Call going to save him for now as Photic's trying to kite back, but both LNG bottom laners are severely injured. The good part is ThunderTalk are on the wrong side of the rift here. They're trying to play back towards the enemy base. WeiWei going to push the tempo. Feather very low. 1xN trying to kite back as Hoya TP's back in, but the equalizer completely whiffs. Beichuan swings in on the backside himself. 1xN gets over the wall. It's a pandemonium fight as 1xN jumps right back over the pin and gets himself destroyed by the might of Zika. Beichuan solo going to Vault Breaker and find Photic completely blind. How has he got himself out? SeTab is going to fall to Zika as well, and now it's just a mad chase as we get a pause. More so, should take a lot of damages. I do see that we seemingly back to live, and it is post-fight, so I guess we're done and dusted.
Yeah, I guess so. Whatever the issue was must have been resolved, or must have been spoken about, you know, between refs and such. That there was no foul play or anything along those lines. Not sure what it could have been. Hell, it could have even been a toilet break pause for all we know.
Who knows?
For the time being. But you can see there, like, the AoE damage on top of TT as they're walking past that icon. Super high, right? Getting hit by that one particular ability. As LNG get this rundown. And like you say, Hoya's unfortunate equalizer. A bit of a swing and a miss. Right? Imagine if that's kind of on top of where LNG just were, where that blue ward went down. That feels a lot better, that team fight. But 1xN sacrificing his position for a kill and a little bit of blood. Unfortunately gives him his life over. And then Photic being killed here by Beichuan really saves a lot of TT's potential game here for the next couple of minutes. If that Atacon buff goes down and over to TT, you know, you never know how things, or to LNG rather, you never know how the rest of the game transpires from that point on.
We have settled back in, though, and the action's really going to start ramping up here with all these neutrals available. This is a Mountain Soul point available for ThunderTalk if they're able to grab it. Atacon is watching downriver as LNG make their approach, trying to stop it. A 50-50 seems imminent, and it's won by WeiWei. Feather going to be caught by the Pop Blossom on the backside. They're just going to burn through that Leona's health bar. Photic picks up that first kill. ThunderTalk are scattered to the wayside as LNG claim their kill and will likely claim one of the biggest buffs in League of Legends so far.
Yeah, and this is going to line up very well with Baron if they're able to secure it. So TT, they have to try, if they can help it, to stop. They've got a lot of armor still available, Beichuan and SeTabs mainly.
Can't see. They got the Ren stacks up here, Photic and WeiWei. If they time this perfectly, there's no way for ThunderTalk to stop Atacon's buff coming their way.
Oh, he
Secured
got it!
and stolen away. Beichuan still makes it happen against all the odds, and here are the revives. They got the buff. There's no reason to play back. Now they can just play forward, seeing how many kills they can get. 1xN throws himself to the wolves to pick up 2 kills, and he's going to revive back at the base. Hero play from Beichuan and ThunderTalk.
I can't believe what I'm watching right. Oh, the Ezreal ult! It's WeiWei,
right.
and also that recall far too deep into it. But how does Beichuan get the smite through Rend smite on LNG? Give us the replay.
Here we go. Yep.
And let's just see. I mean, was it out of sync? Was it overestimation on the damage? Like, what was the call hit? Smite just doesn't come through from WeiWei, so mistimed between the jungle and AD here, and Beichuan steals it away and gives them all the revive. So they're able to trade up probably a little bit in gold, right? I think they ended up with 2 kills on the back of this. And you have to recall, when you die, right, the gold, you know, the would-be killer only gets 100 gold. So for TT, those are positive gold trades, and you look at the inventory for 1xN, right? He was the main beneficiary of that play. He's at 3 items already, right? Has that Serolda's Grudge on top of the 2 core items for Ezreal.
I mean, I know Jamada. I am, you know, I'm going to pull from my own experiences a little bit here. I am the Ezreal player, guys, so I can tell everybody confidently from my mid-elo solo Q games in NA that this is what Ezreal is. Very, very scary for anybody to deal with, and it's also important to realize that while a lot of those revives went to the wayside when ThunderTalk threw themselves to play for those kills, Feather, you could see the 3 orbs floating around him. He does still have the revive, so if you thought a Leona was going to play super aggressive in general, wait till you give him a revive.
Yeah, we'll see. We're already at 26 minutes, so still has around 90 seconds or so left of that buff for Feather. So he's got to make use of it. I wonder if we're going to get a, you know, because the HUD is normally ever evolving, right, around the changes in League of Legends. I wonder when we're going to get, you know, a bit of a timer, a bit of a GA indicator that people have that Atacon buff for now. Being forced out of that top brush, looking for plays evermore as Zika threatens 1xN over the wall here, and with 6 scrubs, just that one little rotation, this one window, I think that will be tier 1 dead as forced to flash Beichuan.
Yeah, I was looking for a vault breaker maybe to start the fight. 1 Tangle Barb, getting that key summoner out. Should give LNG a lot of space here to take control of Vision. And I feel that Feather might not get to stake in on the revive fun as that timer slowly ticks down.
Might have to give up on that one. Won't get to see it in action. But still, very fun objective to skirmish over. I wonder if TT felt pretty good about it.
I wonder if we're ever going to get to a point where teams are so good at tracking the revive timer that they're going to, like, you know how when someone gets Zillion ulted, sometimes people just don't hit them because they don't want to give the revive over? I wonder if we're ever going to see that. Like, if we perfectly track the revive timer.
If we end up in a skirmish where it's perfectly timed, you're about to kill someone with the Atacon revive buff, and it's like, wait, guys, don't kill him for 5 seconds. Then we get more gold, and he doesn't revive. I can see it happening.
What I see happening in the future here, this game, is just, you know, we've seen a lot of changes. This is the classic. This is where competitive games of League of Legends are really decided. Baron and a Soul Drake are going to be on the Rift at the same time here. Oh, actually, I'm mistaken. I didn't realize that LNG also stole away that Mountain Drake. But still a Drake to play for, and ThunderTalk are going to take control of that bottom river as we're not paying a lot of attention towards Baron.
No, not for now. 28 minutes in. Next Mountain Dragon is spawning, so both these teams set their eyes on it. It would be the 3rd one for LNG. That would start to really make them significantly tankier. All of the additional percent resists, and yeah, like you said, especially Zika. It's giving him damage, really. This is an Infernal Dragon for Zika Sante. Beichuan is on the flank here, looking for one.
Beichuan already has one hero steal, doesn't even get a chance at it this time. WeiWei going to secure the Mountain Drake. Beichuan going to go in, immediately get stunned by WeiWei. They're trying to lock down the vibe before the cease resist comes across, and he uses it onto Zika, who will happily gobble up that key ultimate. SeTab caught on the backside, drops between worlds, but drops into the gray world as he gets taken down, and LNG can churn up for the fight. Here comes Haichao with the Ghost Vladimir, Sanguine Pool, tons of damage, Photic set up, and now LNG can just run through ThunderTalk one by one. You can talk the thunder, but when the lightning cracks, it's for LNG.
That it is. LNG absolutely walk over TT this exchange, and honestly, you know, they're walking over to Baron. They've got double teleport. Slayer, I can very easily see this purple worm buff going down, and TT not really going to have much an answer. Beichuan doesn't have smite right now, so this will just be double back-to-back neutrals here, and LNG, despite losing Atacant earlier, recover well. They'll pick up this Baron buff and likely start to knock down those remaining structures with the 6 scrubs. Beichuan's here, but again, actually, smite was a charged one, but still going to be pushed away. And barring a 1xn miracle,
ooh,
okay,
really got it with the W frame combo.
It will be WeiWei picking that one up. Very scary.
Good rebound for WeiWei, who, I mean, I think this game could have just been dusted if was able to secure that Atacant for LNG. We're going to look back at this Drake fight, though. Really impressive for LNG, how they just locked down Beichuan before he can even get this combo going.
Yeah, very well played there by LNG to ensure that Beichuan doesn't really get to pick a strong target to ult. And SeTab, he's on a flank, but he's just completely isolated, right? He's not locking up anyone for, you know, another bit of CC to come down. Just kind of drops his button and dies as the rundown is super easy. No one on TT really has an opportunity to put in much damage in return. It's 1xn left to the wayside, and the triple kill goes over to Photic, recovering a little bit from those earlier, you know, mishaps, shall we say, especially around the mid lane here.
Yeah, with the value of those feats of strength boots, actually is a slight gold lead over 1xn as we have a catch coming across. There's a beautiful stun lockdown from ThunderTalk. They drop WeiWei. Zhuo throws down the pop-ups to try to find a response. Zika comes flying in, gets Beichuan caught, who's able to bounce back, but the all-out pulls Beichuan towards their demise. It's now ThunderTalk trying to play back towards their turret, but Photic needs to be careful with how far he steps up. Mid laner 1v1 on the side. Haichao pops the ghost, but takes far too much damage from SeTab. It's 1xn. He's firing himself forward. We flash back, and he's got himself 2 kills already. Zika, you may have a lot of tank stats, but it's a lot of health bars to burn through. Has about half HP. 1xn really needs to start dropping these mystic shots, but they are just tickling Zika right now. Zenith played through, but Feather, I don't think you want this trip. Zika smites him down, and who's going to take down the big bad Cassante? They are slowly chunking through this health bar. AD damage, Zika will not relent, goes back in. Haichao gets a huge empowered Q.
1xn's on for a bender.
Goes into the stasis, but 1xn is looking to get all the glory. Another Sanguine pull up. Haichao is looking for the Q heal, just can't get into the range. 1xn misses the mystic shot. Haichao gets the kill, but it's traded back by SeTab. 9 kills, but ThunderTalk edge out a victory.
Goodness me. Where do you even start with a fight like that? Haichao just stays alive for so long on 1xn whilst that mid lane banger was going on, putting in work over here on the blue buff. Let's take a look at this because it all starts off with this pick. Onto WeiWei, just steps too far forward, doesn't get to put up that Aegis Assault Shield to block out all of that damage, immediately dies, right? Zika finds his way onto Beichuan, and they pick this one up very, very easily. But then it's about what happens after the fact, right? Photic steps too far forward and gets chunked out. 1xn is practically untouched, and all of these health bars chunked out, right? On LNG, and look how much damage is coming out from 1xn. And at this point in the game, right, you know, you're the resident Ezreal player, so you'll be able to tell anyone. Though the arcane shifts, they're going to come up every 3-4 seconds if you're landing those mystic shots consecutively. So mobile, but it's just about this turn here, right? Zika, very tanky. Can't be taken down, and then eventually Haichao shows up, right? And this is where things get a little bit dicey, because 1xn was in an awkward position on that blue buff, couldn't go over the wall. And then the fight on this mid wave, the Sanguine Pool, the Flame Spitter not really touching Haichao, the 1k heal off the empowered transfusion, just for SeTab to not have the damage to kill Haichao before the next pool comes up, and 1xn barely missing. Barely.
Oh.
It grazes the damn cape. For God's sake. As
We
now
don't
the
got time.
dragon's up, and they're fighting
Oh
again.
my god, where did Zhuo go? He just got blown to smithereens. The dragon still has a bunch of spears in it, but the fight is now breaking out as Photic trying to dodge around Hoya's flame spitter range. Beichuan and WeiWei in their own 1v1, but Beichuan with the GA is going to be thrown into the stasis. Zika goes forward. Kasante's unleashed. LNG are unleashed, and they're going to start wiping down ThunderTalk. Zika will not drop. LNG find 4 and a critical dragon tank, and they might just get them all. Down goes 1xn. LNG want their revenge from the Demacia Cup.
Be damned, Fed AD carries, because no matter what, Kasante will come back and haunt your dreams. And Zeka here, back-to-back team fights, absolutely decimates TT and will push LNG to a 1-0 statement in this series. And that's just game 1, Slayer. We could be in for a bit more of a cinema evening for this series.
With new champions as well, as we're in the fearless format. But the ceremonious end comes across. LNG up 1-0 with so much in Group C on the line.
Goodness me. Goodness me. What a bit of warfare between TT and LNG.
Warfare.
This series so far, I say series, it's just one game. It feels like it's been a long series.
It does.
Just off that one game. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin, other than it felt like at the very least TT kept it competitive from start to finish. Right, there wasn't really a point in that game where you felt like TT were completely out of it. So LNG definitely still gotta go back to the drawing board a little bit. Right, it was somewhat a messy kind of early to mid-game transition. Getting lane swapped on, definitely it felt like prevented a lot of potentially strong early game stats, or strats rather, that could have come through with that Pantheon. Very unorthodox draft from LNG, and I think that's the key thing to latch onto, it being fearless. They don't have to play these champs again, or rather they can't play these champs again.
No.
Now they have some strong meta champs available to them later on in this series for themselves.
Jamada, it's so poetic, right? That game, we got all this new changes on the Rift to break down. We're talking about Attica, we're talking about the feats of strength. You talked about the lane swapping with how potent these bottom lanes were supposed to be. And what mattered, the one thing we only got snippets of looking at, it was Zika's Kasante just getting too fed to deal with. Because you saw in that last fight, but even the chaos before it, how much of a win is that for ThunderTalk if this isn't just such a 3-item tanky Kasante? I mean, it's the reason they end up trading so close at the end is because they spent like 15 seconds just wailing on this Kasante to barely find a win.
Yeah. On the bright side for TT, it's like can't play it again, right? Like he can't play it again for the rest of the evening. So we'll see how that pick is handled, because yeah, you know, new year, same Kasante, still very, very broken. As
the
many
copy pastas going.
have known, the copy pastas, the showmaker, the showmaker emote, get it all, get it all in there, because that was definitely a bit of a case study on how strong Kasante can scale into a game. As looking forward to the next one, I'm sure TT a lot to think on given how close that one was.
All right, all I have to say to all you League players, solo queue extraordinaires that keep tweeting about, oh, I give up Otacon, I lose my games. TT stole away that revive. Still didn't get them the win. It got them some gold, but didn't get them the win. Those are the stats that matter, all right? I'm taking the LPL stats over your solo queue tweets, everybody.
Yeah, there you go. I think, though, with that, actually, I'm not going to call anything. I can't remember the run of show post-game.
We're waiting for some stats. We're waiting for some stats to come up.
I think we're still waiting for some stats before we do anything else. So,
and an MVP. We need an MVP as well.
Yeah.
Or player of the game, excuse me.
Yeah, we're waiting. We're waiting.
Yeah, but is MVP is player of the game like an obvious pick here?
They're gonna give it to Zika. They're gonna give it to Zika. I think there was there's maybe a call for Vladimir. For Haichao. Right. Otherwise, yeah, it feels like a bit of a moot discussion. I think it just goes to Cassante.
Here we go with the stats, though. And, I mean, if our mood in that game 1 wasn't indicative enough of how topsy-turvy it was, this goal graph definitely reflects it, at least until the 28-minute mark.
I will say, though, the damage coming out of 1xN. 43,000.
93 kill participation in this one as well. Wow.
Yeah, does feel bad. Does definitely feel bad. 40% of his team's damage. But 1xN still putting on a show, right? Despite being on the losing end of this game 1, comparatively to what was going on over in the Demacia Cup a few weeks ago. As we run through the highlights here, and didn't start too bad for TT, right?
No.
At the end of the day, got the lane swap off, got that very neutral mid to or early to mid game to kind of let themselves scale in, but it never really felt like we got to see them 5v5 on their own terms, right? It always felt like it was a neutral objective contest, which ends up being very, very messy. And again, doesn't play to the tune of their own song, unfortunately, and LNG thrived in that chaos.
I think LG also adapted really well at trying to desync this Beichuan Solar Flare combo into one person, right? You saw them in the early game. They were able to find the first blood kill. They found the dive as well onto Haichao to find those kills. But after that, they were always marking Beichuan to make sure these vault breakers didn't really come across. Here is where things got completely chaotic, though, with Beichuan. I mean, WeiWei left the door open. 448 was the health on that Acticon before it was secured by TT.
Just makes you wonder, you know, normally you're doing those things in comms, right? You're saying, you know, you give some quick countdown, 3, 2, 1, go. It's so difficult to lose a smite end. But hey, LNG managed to do it all this game. Lose the Acticon buff with Kalista. Yeah, this was kind of the third to last fight, I want to say, of doom for Hoya and the rest of TT as they get run down. And yeah, I mean, again, TT, I think, can walk away from this game feeling pretty happy with a majority of their performance, but they just have to tighten up some of those loose ends, right? Around the general execution on team fights. And again, you know, even in fights like this was a fight that was almost wholly started by TT, right?
Yeah.
Preventing LNG from trying to execute the dragon. But it's just about the responses that come through from LNG and the fact that TT just don't really get to press their buttons, or rather, don't press all of their buttons at the same time, you know, on that same 1 or 2 targets.
Zika just always on the edge of doom, baiting in 1xN, looking for those trade kills. Tons of, they didn't even show like the craziest highlight at the end of this game where 1xN nearly hero wins the entire thing, or at least swings the entire thing back for TT. We'll now wait for that player of the game to come across, expecting it to be Zika. But Jamada, if you are ThunderTalk, you have the side selection available to you next game.
Blue side.
Blue side. All right, so just going blue side. Your best blue side draft, maybe, or do you want to try maybe what LNG thought, where we maybe go pocket pick?
You've got to go, you know, strongest available. Really try and just get the win and go back to even footing and turn it into a best of 3. You drop 2 games down back to back. You know, how often do we really see reverse sweeps occur? As wow, no way.
Get the comment pauses going. Come on.
Yeah,
I'm sure they've been getting spam, but right now I'm asking to throw them in the chat for Zika.
I'm not very surprised though by this MVP vote, as you know, had a solo kill, team fight winning plays, the whole lot, right? Zika had a fantastic game. That one, and very much manhandled his opponent. And we'll see as we approach game 2 how Hoya is going to be able to deal with Zika if he's going to be on that kind of form this evening.
We're getting close to game 2, but before we take a quick step away, I want to make sure, as many of you are aware, this is an entirely fan-run broadcast produced by passionate individuals who love the LPL, like all you at home. As such, we've started a Ko-Fi account that you can access in chat. Any donations there will go directly to broadcast upgrades or paying on-air talent and production staff. By becoming a Ko-Fi member, you can also unlock perks like access to member-only servers, early access to unique content and interviews, and the ability to suggest questions and collaborate. YouTube and Twitch subscribers will also have access to similar rewards. So make sure to hop on that now, whether you want to support through Ko-Fi, subscribe on Twitch, YouTube viewers, the same thing. It's all fan run here. It's all about passion of people who love the LPL. So any support here is gladly taken. But for now, folks, after an absolutely chaotic start, we are going to take a short break, get those heart rates back down, and come back for Game 2 with ThunderTalk looking to try and even up the series after LNG